Okay, so we got a little bit of a different type of day than my typical day. We are heading up to Westbury to go meet. Today's going to be the day of Dean. I'm going to meet a good friend of mine from the mortgage business, Dean Hartman, who I've known for probably close to 20 years. Dean is a team leader at Cliffco Mortgage in Westbury. He's one of the most intelligent, well-educated mortgage people I've ever met with, which is one of the main reasons why I like doing business with him and his company and his team. We're going to sit down with him to do an interview similar to what we talked about in some of our previous episodes, where we're looking to meet with other small business owners to help promote their brand, help us create more content, help them create more content. So we're going outside of the whole digital mayor concept, and we're going to deal with a little bit more of an industry guy. But Dean and I are going to catch up. We had a great meeting yesterday, and the thought to put this together came up, and we said, let's just don't jump in and not have to think too hard about it. So we're going to meet with him for 45 minutes to an hour, maybe live stream on Facebook. So check us out, Dean Miller Real Estate on Facebook. From there, we're going to jump back to my house because it's the most convenient location. I've got a 1 o'clock coaching call with my buddy Danny Griffin to do our weekly mastermind conversation. That'll last about an hour and a half. And then at 2:30, we're jumping out and heading back to Hop Hog to meet with another one of the Deans, Dean Mercado from Online Marketing Muscle. He invited me out to do a live stream with him, an interview for his new program called Clone the Owner. Dean is a marketing specialist and a business development guy. He's a coach. He builds websites. He's an Infusionsoft expert and lives in that ecosystem of many of those kind of programs. And then tomorrow we're back out in the field of listing presentations and buyer interviews. So we got a action-packed day today from my end. And hopefully it'll create some fantastic content that makes you all out there want to ask some questions, reach out, and see what we can do to be of help to you. And it's not the same for everybody, you know, and in many cases it's not even the haves and the have-nots. It's the way people position themselves financially throughout their lives. So it's always a challenge, you know. Financial education is so important and so few people really put any time or effort into it. Hey everybody, Dean Miller here again. Welcome back. I am here today. Today is going to be the day of Deans. So I am here today with an old friend of mine, Dean Hartman. Dean is the team leader here at Cliffco Mortgage. Yeah. I have known Dean for the better part of I figured it out yesterday. I think I got my license 22 years ago, so I've probably known you close to 20, 21 years.
And you still talk to me.
And we still talk to each other, not at each other, although we do that from time to time as well. Yeah. Like I was saying earlier, part of the reason why I've chose to align myself with guys like Dean is I've found him to be not only a person that I personally can get along with because we have so many things in common, but from
sarcasm being
without a doubt that leads the way. But Dean is one of the most well-educated people in the mortgage industry that I've ever met. And if I ever have a question, he's 99 times out of 100, he's the guy that I go to first to say, hey, give me some insight on what you heard, where things are going, what's happening. And all too often, he's right. And that kind of, bring the sarcasm back, that kind of surprises me as well. But a great company, a fantastic team of people, nice. And we love working with them. So, give me some rundown. What's new?
Oh, a lot. You know, as most of you know, or I know you know, the mortgage industry, after the whole meltdown, got very constricted. The pendulum swung very conservative. Virtually every loan had to be, you know, fit that square peg in a square hole. And it did lead to a decline in defaults and a better quality of mortgage. But at some point, whether it's greed or common sense comes back into the fold, and we start expanding guidelines a little bit and testing the waters to see if loans will perform. And that has happened through my 30 plus years history in the mortgage business, back and forth a couple times. So we went too conservative for a while, and we're now on our way back to common sense with the hope that we're not going to go too far and start doing crazy loans.
So very black and white. When you say too conservative, it was hard for
people. The only
people.
person who could get a loan is somebody who has near perfect credit, you know, a near perfect job history with qualifying ratios and perfect credit. You know, it took a pool of this many potential people who wanted to buy a house who would actually make the payments and shrunk it in half. And now investors who are back believing that the real estate market is back to a consistently appreciating mode, are saying a mortgage is a good investment because even if the people don't make the payments, we could get the house, sell the house, and get our money back. So they're looking for ways to stretch guidelines. And probably the most logical thing that I would do if I were one of these guys on Wall Street trying to bundle loans is say, who's been the underserved people who should get mortgages? And that would, to me, is the self-employed borrower, right? Let's be frank, most people are self-employed because they don't want to declare all their income on their tax return, right? Whether it's legal loopholes or illegal loopholes, I'm not here to judge. I'm just saying there are restaurant owners that are, driving $1,200 a month cars and wanting to live in $700,000 houses, but if you look at their tax returns, it barely looks like, they have enough money. So that person has accumulated some cash, they have good credit, and you just can't document their income. So the marketplace said, how do we fit within the new guidelines at the same time as expanding the potential buyer pool for people who can buy those homes? And what did they do? They came up with a bank statement program. So now we have loan programs where we can go to that self-employed borrower, look at their business, take 12 months of what they've deposited into the business, and then cut that in half and say that's their income. The investors are making the argument that under the Dodd-Frank rule, where we have to do what's called ATR, ability to repay, they're saying the deposits in the business are proof that the person has the ability to repay. Now you might tell the IRS that you take in $100, it costs you $88 to run your business between your expenses and whatever else, and you only made $12 that month. In this bank statement program, instead of saying you made $12, your net number, we're taking 50% of your gross number. So we're saying you made $50 that month, not $12. We have a client right now that is depositing over $1 million a month into her business. I haven't seen her tax returns, but I've been led to believe that the IRS believes she makes $40,000 a year. We're qualifying her as if she makes $6 million a year.
All right, good deal. Thanks so much for your time. I appreciate it.
All right. Enjoy.
Listen, I always like hanging out with smart people, and Dean is not only a smart guy, but he's as much of a sarcastic wise ass as I am. So there's always a good vibe in the room when we sit down together. We've got way too much in common, which is scary. His wife's name is Denise, just like mine. We're both overweight. We've both got a foul mouth. We've both been doing what we do for way too long, but we actually love it. And we're definitely not afraid to share our experiences or give our opinions, usually when asked for, but every once in a while we'll offer it up when it's not asked for. And he brought some good information that we can use both for our buyer and seller consumers and for agents in general, whether they're agents that we're recruiting or agents who just happen to see what we're doing. Every day I like to make a difference. I've said it in previous episodes, I get out of bed in the morning to make a difference, not a dollar, and hopefully we did that today. So we are here in Hop Hog right now. We've been out here once before. This is my good friend Dean Mercado, marketing coach, online marketing muscle, builds websites, Infusionsoft specialist, really good at what he does. And yet another one of the guys in my inner circle that I like to work with who are also named Dean. So we're here today. We're going to shoot a Facebook Live for his new program called Clone the Owner. That's a spin-off of his online marketing muscle company, and we're going to go live and see what happens.
Awesome. And okay, so what we're going to do next is I want to climb a little deeper into Dean's brain here. And again, this is small business conversation by small business owners for small business owners, right? So the intent is to try to understand what makes this guy tick a little bit. What makes it work? Dean's been around the block a little bit. And that seasoned nature of his is something we could all benefit from, right? So So listen in intently, try and pick up on the little things that Dean might share here today and see where we can go with it. So as a small business owner, obviously you've been doing this real estate thing for a long time. You've had your hands in several other businesses along the way as well. So you've got some seasonality, some seasoning to put it lightly. Why do you do what you do? You could do any business you want out there. Why this business? Why now? And why here?
It's not an easy question to answer because I've had businesses my whole life. I had a paper route when I was 12. I started a mobile DJ business when I was 16. Did that for almost 15 years. I owned a restaurant in New York City. Thank God, up until about 2 years ago, I'm not in that business anymore. Hardest thing I've ever done in my life. But the word fulfillment comes back to a lot of what I do. A lot of it is personal fulfillment, but then to take it even a little bit further, and I've said it earlier today and I've used it in lines, I've never been one to get out of bed in the morning to make $1.
Right.
I always look at life and say, what can you do to make a difference? And if you do that for enough people, the dollars will find you. So I've never worried, that may sound conceited or arrogant, and I apologize, it's not my intention, but I've never worried about the money.
Good.
The money's always found me because when you're a little hungry, you kind of work a little bit more if you have to eat. And if you saw me from here down, you'd know I'm not a tiny guy. So there's not many meals I've missed in my life.
Right.
But I think that's a big part of it is the challenge that comes with being self-employed. I always look at it and say I have the worst boss in the world. He's the one looking back at me in the morning every day when I go brush my teeth. But at the same time, it gives you that freedom and that flexibility, which creates happiness and enjoyment, but also creates a tremendous amount of fear if you're not careful.
Very true. Very true.
And I have, behind the camera that's recording us, I've got a guy recording me for my own vlog. So, that's it. Heads up the train who's sitting there behind the camera. I've never craved attention. And I've looked at it and said, the only time I want attention is when I can bring value and a difference to other people. And in the conversation we had earlier today with another Dean, a mortgage guy that I work with, we talked about that. We said, why do we why do we want these eyes on us? What do we do? And we're here to ultimately make a difference in people's lives. So, in talking about what I've done with Dean here, we redid our vision and our mission and our core values. And I've always said it's being able to put people in a position to find their happiness, their joy, their success. And that's really what pushes me. I'm not in it to make $1 million a day for myself. I'm in it to make a lot of money to help. At the end of the day, I want to spend as much of my time possible working on eliminating the homeless veteran problem in this country. That's what drives me is seeing people succeed and lift themselves up and get better at what they do. I just want to be the guide in that process whenever it's necessary, and that's one of our core values is, be the guide. All right, so that's a wrap for the day. We're going to let you guys go. I've got a couple more hours worth of work to do. Got to go show some apartments and get ready for a few more presentations, bring on a few more seller clients. But I want to thank you all for tuning in. It was fantastic. I hope you enjoy it. Do me a favor. If you see this and you like it, click that like button, hit the share button, subscribe, follow us, whatever you can do. The more people we can get connected to our world, the more opportunities we're going to have to bring it to a bigger and better audience. So thanks so much for tuning in. Have a fantastic day.
I will always be your friend.